Hello, Stacy. Thank you for being here with me for a conversation about you as one of our newest graduates from the Confident Grief Coach program. Stacy was one of our most recent graduates as a certified Breathe facilitator and Confident Grief Coach. So we're happy to have her in our family here and happy to be doing a little interview to get to know Stacy and share her work with the world. So thank you, Stacy, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. Well, could you just start off by sharing a little bit about who you are, maybe where you're located, and a little bit of the work that you do and what got you into this work?
Absolutely. So once again, my name is Stacy. I am located in Iowa. Um, I am a certified grief coach, breathe facilitator, and I also focus on trauma as well. Kind of what got me into this is we've all experienced deep loss through the past several years. Unfortunately, I have as well. And then in 2014, I lost my son to suicide. So just not having somebody really to help guide me and tell me that what I was feeling was everything that's to be expected and that there is a future beyond the grief without pretending that it's still not there. That kind of got me to where I am today. Just being able to share that with other people because I didn't have nobody to share that with me.
Yeah, that can be, I mean, as we know as coaches, that's like the number one thing that we find in our space, of course, from our own lived experiences, like you mentioned, it's that people don't know how to approach someone who's experienced something like the loss of a child due to suicide, and they don't know what to say, and sometimes how they show up isn't necessarily helpful.
Mhm.
So I love that, from your experiences, you were really able to recognize that there's a need for that that's not something that people get to receive all the time, that safe space, um that comfort without fixing our grief, right? Because nothing can really make it better. But showing up with the resources and the tools to support through that process.
Absolutely.
So
But I don't
yeah.
want to take away from the people that did try to be there for me, but I think everybody thinks there's a timeline. So when you don't fit into that timeline, it gets more confusing for everybody involved because you start questioning if you should be on a timeline as well, and there's absolutely no timeline.
For sure. Yeah. And normalizing that with, of course, the people in our lives, the people that we work with, and even sharing stuff like this, a little bit of that education goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So, was there like a moment or an experience or maybe an insight that called you towards being a grief support?
Yeah, actually, it was just this year around Cody's anniversary date of his death. Each year is different for me on how I handle that, how I view it, the emotions that I go through. And I just happened to just be scrolling through Facebook. It was within that week of the day of his anniversary of his death. And I just came across the grief coaching and just the grief school, and I just started looking into it, and it just really fell upon my heart. I mean, I prayed a lot about it. The company that I had worked for previously, they closed, so it was like perfect timing for me to do it. I was receiving like business closing benefits and all of that. So I had funding, and then plus they actually helped fund it, like two different programs helped fund it. So I mean, there was just so many callings, like everything when I would pray about it, anything that I did that had that in the forefront, there was just like the answers, like you need to do this, you need to do this. And so when I visited with Pat, she was just like amazing because I got enrolled after that particular I guess season time or whatever started, and she enrolled me later, which really helped. I was able to catch up, and so it was just a blessing. I mean, and yeah, I can't even put it any better than that. So
Yeah, you showed up at the right time, and yeah,
mhm,
we're a great fit for class too. It was so
yeah.
great to have you there, and I think everybody in class could say the same thing. Was there anything in particular that made the Confident Grief Coach School feel like the right training for you? Because of course there's so many programs out there, but I'm just curious, is there something that called you particularly to this program?
So I was looking at another program, and then thankfully I like did some really deep Google reviews and so forth and some research. And I was like, they didn't seem like they were very concerned with how their students did. Like they would just kind of let them do their class and then off they went. And I don't want that. I mean, I wanted to know what I'm talking about. I mean, we're dealing with people's lives and their feelings and so forth. And then just visiting with Pat was like, that was like the facilitating decision that this was a place for me to be. I mean, just her listening to my story, everything that she said, I knew that I was at the right place.
That's awesome. And was there like a moment during the program that stands out as something that was particularly meaningful or transformative for you as you were moving through, of course, all of the resources through the program?
Yeah. So there was a couple different things. Not only did I learn the program, I also did the program. So there's two specific areas. There's one where we do like the guided meditation, and to someone I believes that particular meditation really concerned me, on doing it. And when I spoke to Pat about it, she was just like absolutely amazing. She totally redid that particular one to suit like where my faith stood with that, which was awesome because a lot of people probably wouldn't have done that. Like this is what it is, I mean, but she was totally understanding. She shared it and she used that as like a tool too, that there might be times when we have different people that we're working with, they that may have different faith beliefs and so forth. So that was like such a meaningful and very, very important thing for me for her to do. And then actually working with you when we did our coaching back and forth, just, realizing that I do also. No, well, you as well, and then one of the other girls in the class. I felt very sorry for her. She didn't really know what to say, but me realizing that I also have some unresolved things, and there's still things that I need to work on, and knowing that I probably will forever, but that's okay. That's absolutely okay because that just, to me, that just shows the amount of love I have for everybody that I lost. So sometimes might be more difficult than others, sometimes might not be, but at least I have those tools, and I'll know what to do with them.
Yeah, I love that, there's always more layers to our loss. And it's not like you mentioned, there's not going to be a timeline. You're not just going to be finished with it one day. It's like there's all of these different things that we get to explore as far as like how deeply we loved and how much we miss them. And that changes as time goes on and as our experience in this life goes on. And that's the beautiful thing about, finding these tools and resources like you mentioned, it's like, well, now we have things that can support us
Mhm.
when it comes up, when the anniversary comes back around, or when you're having a tough day. Well, then you know exactly what you need to do to feel more prepared to go into that and to move with it and support yourself through that process. So yeah, I love that. That was my experience, when I did the training too, was like, oh my gosh, I have so much here still. And there always will be those layers, but that's the whole point of like the training in the program, right? To experience that for ourselves so that we can help other people as well. And then to get familiar with those tools so that we can guide other people in using those tools and adjusting them if it's not quite the right fit, which I love you mentioned about the meditation that we have in our program as well. It can be super supportive for some people, but for others might feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about, you mentioned you're very grounded in your faith. Could you share how that influences your work in the grief space?
Absolutely. So, like I said, when I was deciding whether or not if this is something that I should pursue, like I prayed a lot about it. I do a lot of different Bible studies, and it seemed like every Bible study that I did, it had like a direction towards this, like making a decision, and then I would just happen to come across different scriptures, and I'm like, oh my goodness, okay. I'm like, I hear you. I was like, so I think because I know that faith is can be so temperamental, especially when it comes to loss. And I know when I lost Cody, for instance, I didn't want to hear about faith. I was angry, and just knowing that that's okay as well. Like God knew I was angry, he totally expected it. He knew it. But I also realized with me relying on him, how much better I felt just
Mm.
having that faith with me. There's still difficult days where I'm still angry, but it all still keeps me grounded. It still keeps me coming back to him for that support. So just letting people know that it's okay to be mad, just
Mm.
it's okay to still have your faith and still okay to be angry. You're going to have those times. I'm always going to have those times as well. But just like we said, having those tools, different faith-based tools, things like that can help guide you with it so you're just not stuck in that anger.
Yeah, right. That big question of why
Mm.
shows up, I think for
Yeah.
so many of us. And it's like we might not have the answer to that, but then how can we lean into things like our faith, whether it's, through an organized religion or through something a little bit more spiritual minded, whatever that looks like, and then for those that might not have a faith-based practice, how can we then lean into these other philosophies or belief systems that can shape how we just move through the experience?
That's why it's
So
very
with
important for me to kind of align it to where faith-based is optional because I
mm,
know like what a tender line that can be. And, it's only when it's welcomed, it's not forced.
for sure. Yeah, I love that. Can you share a little bit more about like your coaching style or your philosophy, like how you show up for clients?
I think I show up, I'm very compassionate. Listening, I think the amount, like I've had my parents, chronic illness, my brother, my son, grandparents, just like so much that I don't know their feelings exactly, but I can connect and being able to connect passionately with them, being that voice that listens, just being calm and just showing up. I think that's the main thing. And then just giving them those small goals, to work towards. Because a lot of people think you have to set these big, heavy goals to get through life, and you don't have to. Sometimes a goal could be just something simple to get through to the next day. And learning those things and learning those tools and being able to share them with others is how my coaching style is, just but listening to them, their needs first.
Sure. Yeah, and I love that you mentioned, I think when we step into a loss, when something happens and it's like we're thrown into this space that can feel impossible to navigate, and it's like where do we go from here? And that feels so daunting and scary.
It's very
Yet
scary.
like you mentioned, it's like, well, we don't have to figure it all out right now, but how can we like break this down into small baby steps that are going to support that journey without needing to like overhaul your life, because that's you're already in the middle of that oftentimes when we're navigating loss. But I love that you mentioned that gentle pacing of like just doing things at your own pace and being that supportive space, that person that's going to listen to you and hold that compassion and hold your hand as you're walking with that, and finding those tools that are going to support each person. And of course it's different for everybody. So I love that. Is there anything else you want to share about the type of space that you create for your clients? What's it like to work with Stacy?
It's a very safe space. I think when the time is appropriate, I could probably be goofy. I like to have a personality, but I'm very conscientious of where we are at that particular moment, knowing how it should be. I mean, some days we may not set a goal, might be just a day to listen or just to sit there and be with that person. It just all is going to depend on the client, what their needs are. And I'm a very adaptable person. I love people. I've worked with so many different people throughout everything that I've done. And just knowing that I know how you can sense people and where they're at, and if they want to try to move forward, if they just need that time. And I think I'm just going to be that very patient, calming person. I'm hoping, I pray that's what I am for people.
No, you already are for sure. What's one thing that you wish people understood about grief or the power of having a grief support, like, of course, the space that you hold for people?
So one very big moment for me after I lost Cody, I remember it was probably about a month later, and where I was working at the time, she called me to see like if I was ready to come back to work. And I knew that so many other people that were close to Cody had went back to work, and it just blew my mind away because I was like stuck. My whole world had just literally stopped. And everybody else's worlds were still kind of going on around me, and I just didn't understand that. So being able to understand that that happens, that you're going to be stuck, but that your world can start going again. That I hope that makes sense. I'm like feeling like I'm stumbling over my words, but just knowing how I felt then and how other people may feel, that grief, your world's not going to feel like it's starting again the next day, a month later, maybe not even a year later, but there's tools to make it slowly start revolving again while still honoring the people that you love.
For sure. Yeah, like slowly getting unstuck and getting back into a new rhythm of what your life looks like now without rushing,
Yep.
without trying to move on or forget or any of that. It's like, how do we honor what we're experiencing and still find the things that can help us to take those steps in the direction that we want to head towards.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
no, I love what you said about that. And yeah, I think that's a very common experience. And I would imagine that, the loss of a child is its own, I mean, everyone's grief is so unique, but how that's such a special kind of loss um that you'd be able to support people with that, I think someone that doesn't have that lived experience might not be able to connect in that way. But like you mentioned, the way that the loss of a child can halt your entire world and make you feel like you're at a standstill and that
Yep.
you're in the space of like a pause.
Mhm.
And how that's something that now you can relate to your clients with and help them to navigate that space.
Yep. I just want them to know that regardless what the loss is, if you start moving forward, doesn't mean, like we've talked about before, doesn't mean that you do love them any less. They're still right there with you. And I think that's the biggest thing is you feel like once you start moving on, or if you have like your first couple happy days, like you feel guilty, like you shouldn't be happy. And it just absolutely does not mean that the love is not there.
Yeah, it's taking them with, like you mentioned. It's
Absolutely.
like finding those ways of bringing them with you as you continue living your life.
Yep.
Mhm. Is there something that's been especially rewarding as you're stepping into the grief space? What's been rewarding about this work?
just the just the honor of people sharing those stories with me because they are so intimate, they are so special. It's something that is just deep within people, and for them to have the to feel safe with me sharing that is very important.
No doubt. How do you see yourself contributing to your community in Iowa?
So I'm very excited because I have an opportunity to become a board member for the Be the Light of Ottumwa, which is a suicide prevention organization, which brings awareness to the community, especially for young people. There's an annual walk that they do, and after I lost Cody, I did some walks, but I wasn't ready. I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing at that time, and it was too soon. So this past year, being involved in that walk and just I volunteered was very beneficial to me. And they just happened to have a spot open, so I sent my thing in. Later this month, I have an interview sitting with them, hopefully to be able to volunteer my time even more. I'm bringing more of that awareness into our community. I have an opportunity to work with young adults and teenagers that are struggling with life experiences that have not been so pleasant for them, just to let them know that have experienced a lot of trauma, that they can move forward from all that trauma as well. And then recently, I just became a member of a new church I'm very excited about. And just some of their goals also include like grief and trauma and just being more aware and being there for people. So there's just a lot of exciting opportunities that are opening up. And it's just so amazing to me how that happens. It's just a lot of blessings. So,
For sure, yeah. As you're opening up to the work, it's like
oh
things
gosh,
are
yeah,
things are falling into place for sure.
absolutely.
Mm. Who do you see yourself supporting in the most aligned way? Or another way of saying that, like, who would most benefit from working with you? Do you have any like specialty groups or experiences or types of loss that you support? I know you spoke to that just a little bit, but who would most benefit from working with you?
I think parents that have lost children to suicide, because that is such a complex and just a horrendous way to lose somebody, period, but let alone it be a child. And just knowing that I'm sure there's different feelings involved for everybody, but they're pretty much all the same. And a lot of it is blame, like wondering what you didn't do, what you could have done. And most of the time the answers are nothing. And just being able to come to terms with that, I think I
Mm.
could really support a lot of parents and just realizing that that's okay. And that understanding that probably 99.9% of the time it has nothing to do with how you parented your child. Like there's something underneath all of that that happened. It's something that you didn't miss. It's nothing like that. It's just unfortunately they experienced a deep loss or they experienced a deep pain, and that was the easiest way for them to relieve that pain is how they decided to end it. So I think I will be a great support for parents of that type of loss because I understand.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do you have any other pieces of advice or anything else that you would want someone who's experiencing that type of grief right now? What would you want them to know? If someone's listening to this and they're struggling, um, do you have any advice for them?
It's okay to cry. It's okay to stay in bed all day if you need to. Just move at your moments. Just reach out to somebody so you just don't stay stuck in those moments because you also have a lot of people that love you and care about you as well. Even though you don't care about that at the moment, you don't think about that, but in reality, you do. I had another amazing son out there that needed me just the same. So it takes time. It doesn't mean that you forgot them when you start moving on or rebuilding your life. You're never going to move on when you start rebuilding your new life without them in it physically. Basically, that's what it boils down to. But everything that you're feeling is okay.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. Just validating that experience. Mhm. Is there anything that you would want someone to know if someone's out there feeling inspired about the work that you're doing and maybe they want to do something similar in of course with the suicide awareness and your faith-based work, if someone is considering becoming a grief coach and stepping into this work as well, is there anything that you would want them to know about your experience, or even just about the Confident Grief Coach School as a way to get there?
So the Confident Grief Coach School is absolutely amazing. I mean, like you literally go through the program as you're learning it, and plus you get all the tools on how to start helping people. You're not just like given your certification and then good luck to you. There's a foundation still there. Um, I'm included with the alumni. Like I said, I can reach out to anybody at any time that I have any questions. There's always that huge support, the resources, everything. It's just an amazing job that has been done. I mean, the building of it is just incredible. So that would be the way to start if somebody felt inspired to do this. It's a great feeling. I mean, all in all, just knowing that you can be there for somebody and then just having them there for you as well. I know I haven't had to utilize it yet, but just knowing that if there's something tough, that's happening, if I'm working with somebody I don't know what to do, they're struggling, I'm struggling, just having that group that you can attend and just bounce ideas off of each other. Just there's all kinds of great tools as a coach as well to use.
Yeah, thanks for that. We definitely want our students, our alumni to feel supported with that and to have that community because like you mentioned, like yourself and like me, so many of us who step into this space, it's because we have our own story and our own grief experiences, and it's that next step towards our purpose and our meaning when it comes to, rebuilding our own lives after loss is helping other people in that process too.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else that you feel like it's important to share about your story or anything else that you wanted to mention today before we wrap up?
Just it's amazing work. Like I said, it's an honor to work with people and just for people to understand if you have to reach out for that extra step, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. That there is people that have been through it and know what you're going through and understand what you're going through that can help guide you on how to see the next step.
Yeah, there really are so many people like
So many.
Stacy and like myself and all of our graduates and all the, the people through the Confident Grief Coach School. It's like all of us share that love and the passion for showing up for people in grief. So yeah, I love that, Stacy. Just reiterating, if you're someone who's listening, that there are people who love you and who want to support you, and that you're not alone through this. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Stacy. This
Thank
was like
you.
so
Sorry
awesome
for
to
the
hear
whole
about your
coughing
story.
bit.
Oh gosh, it's okay. We can edit that out.
Okay, good. Phew.
No worries. But thank you. If you are interested in learning more about Stacy or getting in contact with her, you can find her information on her coach's profile here. So you should be able to see her information there. And yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if you are curious about how Stacy can support you, or if you are also curious about exploring more about the Confident Grief Coach School as well. We have tons of resources no matter where you're at in your journey. So thanks so much for listening. And thank you, Stacy, for sharing this space with us and for sharing about Cody and your story and everything as well. It's always such an honor.
Thank you.